there's a coaching trap. And we know this is a fact because we've fallen into it. And not only us, but almost everyone we've ever met has fallen into the coaching trap at some point after escape from corporate. Now, I never escaped from corporate because they wouldn't let me in the first place, but Gail certainly did. So what we're going to talk about is how we view today's coaching industry, and then next week at the EntreX Forum on Thursday, we're going to do a whole roundtable around this. And anyone is welcome to come and share your experience of being a coach, trying to become a coach, succeeding as a coach, not succeeding as a coach, or having a coach. That's all valuable experience.
Done it all.
Done it all. Gail, what do you think about the coaching trap, and how do you view today's industry?
So the coaching trap. So I am a coach, if you want to boil it down. So I'm talking about my industry. I would say that the majority of people who put themselves out as a coach really are too much in their own pain to be helping other people. So it's kind of dangerous. And those who are good are having a hard time being seen because marketing is so different than what the coaching marketers are telling you it's all about. That was my experience. I hired coaches to teach me, coach, how to be a business person, and it failed. I spent thousands and thousands and thousands, maybe $80,000, $90,000, and we're talking 2012, 2013, to end up with zero results, right? And it was then that I realized I had to go a different path. I had to go my way, and I had to discover my voice, and that's a process.
Yeah, it's a process. I didn't know what a coach was in this modern context. I thought a coach was someone who ran like a football team. So I had a coach when I was in middle school. I was on a state championship football team in 8th grade, and our coach was a sadist. So to me, that's what a coach was someone who runs like a team, or Phil Jackson was a coach. Phil Jackson was a great coach. So I had mentors. My mentors were experts. My mentors had been in the industry. They were in their whole career, and then they were willing to spend time with me.
Yeah, when I first became a coach, it was obvious that I was really a project manager. It's like, so accountability coach, right? Here's what you said you're going to do this week. What were the blocks and restrictions? Why didn't you do time management? Here's how you do time, right? All of those types of things, which I did at first, and I shoot myself, right? That's why I got out of corporate for doing that, and here I am doing it again. Why was I not loving it? And like I said, find my voice, find my niche. Who am I? And Larry, I'm more of a soul and spiritual coach. Yes,
Yeah.
it hits your business. Yes, it hits your life, but it's not me, right? So,
The reason this topic is important to me is because we're seeing an exodus of people out of the matrix jobs. So the tubes of career pathways that sucked people up when they were younger through some kind of an educational process, and then you go work in this company and this company and then that company, and then you move your way up, and then you become an expert, and then you get hired and you move on to the next job. A lot of that stuff's collapsing for a lot of people. And I remember even back in the 90s when I was doing hardcore networking, where I was never corporate. So I didn't quite understand it, but there were already a lot of people who couldn't get jobs because they made too much money, and they were trying to become consultants or coaches or whatever. I remember this from the 90s, and it's still going on, but now it's accelerated. So the coaching trap and the coaching industry, to get healthy, is going to have a social implication big time for millions of people to get this right.
well, something other than the word coaching, the whole industry needs to be redefined, in my perspective, right? So you've got the newbies coming in out of corporate, which I played that role, right? And then you have those who are in pain and using coaching of others to heal their own pain, right? Which is
Yeah.
very dangerous because that causes
Especially when you're paid money for that.
oh my God, and it causes so much harm to the receiver, right?
Yeah.
And then you have those that have a process that they were handed and have no idea. That's what happened to me. Here's a bunch of questions. Here's what you do. And I had all these questions. And then, like, well, what do I do with the responses? Holy crap. These are deep questions. You're taking me down this pathway and you're not teaching me what to do. That's when I started tapping in, Larry. That's when, like,
Mm.
okay, universe, help me. Right. And then I started healing myself first.
So what happened with me was I have a company it was called Call Sales Partners, and now it's been rebranded as OpGen and Op Generation, like opportunity generation. And the reason we did this is to get my name off the door. So I promoted basically our VP of sales to be a partner and run that company 4 years ago, so I get out of it because it was crushing me. It was tapping all my energy because I'd been doing this kind of thing my whole life, lead generation, business development, sales for other people, and I didn't want to do it anymore, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I came online and I experimented a lot, and I stumbled into this industry called coaching that I didn't know existed. I just stumbled into it in 2020, and it ended up becoming fascinating to me because the whole promise of, is there a business model or a product where I don't have to deliver services? That was the attraction. It was, is there a way where I can scale my time based on my intellectual property and my expertise? And that's what I wanted to figure out. And that's what I got into in 2020. And then I turned that business over to Glenn Torgiani, who I talked to yesterday. We do a weekly thing now, who runs OpGen. Now he's a full equity partner, 50-50 in this thing, because he's running it about B2B sales. But, drifting into coaching for me was an accident. And then I had to give a lot of money back to people. I didn't have to give the money back. I still have 2 people I want to give money back to make amends, because I
Right.
started developing coaching programs that were no good.
Right. Right. Is it based on your experience? So, what I've learned is, and what I've observed is, I can use the same process with 6 people at the same time, and they all have 6 different experiences. So I stopped expecting, if I do this, I'm going to have that result, right? And I really have to be very in tune with the person to know what to say, what to do, and when, for them, not for me, for them. Right. So it really is, a good coach is someone who does that. Now get into the industry. So how do people get to know me? There's the thing. I stopped mass email shit. Right. Don't funnel anymore. In fact, I sent an email out to my email list and said, I'm going to stop cluttering up your mailbox because I know you don't care.
It's
You
true. Nobody does.
right. So I'm going to stop right now, but you can find me on LinkedIn and Facebook. Right. And, those who are interested, I'll come up in their feed because they're liking or whatever. And those who are not, that's fine. And how I meet people is people introduce me to people.
And that connect piece about how to make money as a coach and how to do it, and that's even different from just like what is it? And I thought, well, what is it for me? Because I'm not going back to my other business. I never want to be working in a service business again. I never want to deliver services again. I've been doing it since I was a teenager, basically. I don't want to do this anymore. And I thought, I'm going back to my mentor, Jed Jacobs, and what he did for me. And I'm like, I'm an expert in what I'm an expert in, and that's where I'll help you and nothing else.
And
But
go ahead.
yeah, and that is Red Pill Pathway, but that's not my core product. My core product is the Entrepreneur Experience platform. That's an entrepreneur platform. So I've split it. I'm an entrepreneur building this whole infrastructure that'll pay me for everything that goes on in relation to it, with lots of different product options. It's extensible and scalable. I don't even have to be involved. But the coaching itself is only guiding and mentoring around the red pill pathway piece of it, which is only one piece of it, which I know about. So I don't have to do anything else because you guys are here, but
Well,
I don't know how to
yes,
do it.
yes, yes. And one of the things that you talked about was your capability, and there is um, capability does not mean it's your gift. As you know, Larry, my
Right.
capability is taking business yeah, yeah, and translating it so that techie people actually get it. Right. So I understand the big business lingo and I understand the techie lingo. I do it very well,
Can I,
but
can
I don't like it.
I want to make sure people understand what Gail just said, because this is so important, is I could not have finished the technical integration that we just did with Go High Level, which is super complex, with Welo, a virtual metaverse new technology platform, which is also super complex, and Discord, which is also really complex if you dig into it, in a way that was actually workable, where you can do everything, all the websites, throw up the products, just do anything. Basically, there's no way I could have finished that without Gail's zone of competence skills.
Competence, right?
Competence skills.
Competence. So it's innate, right? I wasn't trained. It's innate, but it's not something I like doing.
Right. And thank you for doing it, by the way.
Well, you're welcome, and we're not done yet, but that's fine.
I
I look
know.
forward to the day I can walk away.
Yeah, I
Um,
know.
but I also have an innate capability, not a skill, all right, an innate capability of showing up and holding space for people, knowing what to say, when to say it, to help someone elevate. It's innate, right? Yes, I've taken training, but that means nothing to my natural ability. Now, there are skills which are different, skills you can learn,
Yeah.
right? Skills you can learn today and they're useless tomorrow. Innate capabilities are endless. They're like universal laws. They will last forever, right? And so, what are your innate capabilities? I'll give you another quick story of a coaching I did with someone who was changing industry. Very hard to do. What did we do? We did a couple of things, but one at the end, I'm not going to tell you the exercise we went through. At the end, she went to the board and she said, "Here's my capability. Here's the industry I want to go into. Here's the gap. Here's where I fill that gap." Bam,
Yeah.
from her capabilities.
The big insight for me came from my stories. I discovered my own stories and I realized I didn't own my own life experience, because there were so many moments where I didn't want it. There were so many moments where I wished that I could be something else, have it easier, have a job in the matrix, have a profession where I didn't have to go through all this entrepreneur and business development kind of stuff that I went through. But I really didn't want that. What I really wanted was to go deeper into my own experience. And as I got deeper into those stories, that led to the point of me being able to realize what I really know, and claim that at a global level of expertise, and say, I am the best person I've ever met in this area, period.
Yes, and that's when we talk about what's going on in the industry, the coaching industry today. Very few people are marketing or working from their own experiences. And then therefore, they're not authentic. And would you want to work with an inauthentic coach who has your life in their hands,
Mm,
right? It's like working with a shrink who studied what should be done but has never experienced what you're going through. So
yes,
it is guiding you based on a book and not on emotion or energy, right? And it
yes,
doesn't mean what worked for me will work for you, Larry. It means I've gone through it. I know the struggle. I can help you with your struggle.
yes. And I have gone through a lot of inner development transformation stuff, as
Mhm.
have you. However, I do not see myself as an expert in it, even though I've gone pretty deep. But I am not an expert in it in the sense of having enough context to help somebody else do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that because I would screw somebody up without not even know I was screwing them up, because I think I know, because I've gone really deep. I have a lot of expertise in inner development kind of work, but not like you. You're not an expert in it because you, like me with business development, entrepreneur systems, building companies, structures, product, like I see it immediately. I don't have to think. It's not work. I just immediately know that's
Yeah.
where I should stay. I understand the interrelationship between inner development and entrepreneurship. That I get. I'm an expert in that. I can see where somebody's at. But if somebody's stuck with an attachment or some inner development piece, I'm like, I'm out.
Right. And what's interesting is I can help with the attachments very easily, but I work the opposite way. I work towards what is it that you think you should be. What does that feel like, right? You've done that meditation with me, that energy meditation, right?
Yeah.
And how do you step into that? And now, how do we live week by week by week with that energy, right? And if things come up, then we work on those things that come up, right? But I don't look for the pain. You do a good job yourself looking for the pain, guys. I don't need to help you look for the pain, right?
Well, this goes back to the coaching industry today. Is there is no successful, and I'm going to talk principles. So this may
Right.
sound like
Okay.
an opinion. I suspect, my hypothesis is, there is no successful coach that starts with pain. None. So Tommy Lasorda, LA Dodgers, um, somebody like Rick Rubin, who's a music coach for top musicians, somebody like Phil Jackson, basketball coach. They don't start with the problem and the pain. Nobody who's successful starts with the problem and the pain with people.
Right. Right. But the coaching industry teaches you to look for the problem and the pain.
Correct.
Right. So, guys, not that,
That's a
just think about
problem.
it. Think about it for a minute.
That's a problem.
Is it upside down? Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that came to me during the work on the Kabbalah, right? During that work, I realized that Maslow was full of shit. We don't start at the bottom and struggle our way up. And so everyone's been taught you start at the bottom and you have to climb this mountain to get to self-actualization. For 400,000 years, we've been told through the Kabbalah, it starts at the top. We're born self actualized and let it flow. So, how do we do that? And that's really, that's my sweet spot. It's like
Yeah.
watching it flow, and the light go on, and people go, I get it. I get it.
The ultimate coach who, I guess, broadly popularized coaching into the ex corporate market, the how to improve yourself industry, would be, I think, Steve Hardison. And his wife, Amy Hardison, wrote a book, Ultimate Coach. Now, the other side of that is Tony Robbins. So, the top peak performance coach in the world. So, you got two opposites in a way. And the Steve Hardison approach, popularized by Rich Litvin and Steve Chandler in a book called Prosperous Coach, starts with, hey, let's sit on the beach together and talk about what's going on. And then it's like, do you want to keep having this conversation? And the answer is yes. And they'd say, well, that's $8,500. That's the sales strategy. Um, there's no stages, there's no gurus and audiences, there's no marketing. Now, Tony Robbins is the opposite. So Tony Robbins is a marketing machine. Now, which is better? I don't think it's the right question. I think the question is understand where you want to be. So there's opposites here. Tony Robbins, marketer with Russell Brunson, and let's get known and do the funnel, the whole thing, and have the big seminar and get on stage, and everybody is yay, yay, yay. And then you've got the Steve Hardison side of it, which is closer to Phil Jackson, which is kind of like, look, you can do anything, but he's not saying you can do anything and throwing his energy into the room. He's saying let's connect around this concept of you can do anything together.
Right. So what am I doing tonight, Larry? I'm going to the beach, La Jolla Coves, and doing a meditation,
You picked your direction.
right? And we will commune, and if they want more, I have an event Monday night, very inexpensive, and if they want more, let's talk.
Yeah.
That's all. And if they don't, that's cool too.
And I think this is the opinion thing, is a lot of people think when people say things, they're giving their opinion. And Gail and I are not giving our opinions because it's not relevant. My opinion doesn't matter. So what I know is I'm not a good marketer, so I can't compete with a marketer who's good at marketing. I can't. It's a whole team. I could hire Evan Carmichael's company, or I could hire brand builders, or become some social media celebrity. Those social media celebrities who became social media celebrities paid these marketing agencies to get them there, because it's a bitch to do. It takes serious skills. However, I can compete as an experience share. That I feel comfortable doing, but I know it is hard, and I know that it takes a while, and I know there's a lot of other strategies over time in terms of building relationships with people, helping other people out, giving to the world, that are part of it.
It takes patience, it takes confidence, it takes authenticity. You know, I mentioned to you one time there's a woman on LinkedIn who sent me in a meeting. She actually said, "Gail, I don't scroll by you."
Mm.
Right? That's what you want, is people to they you do the social media scrolling. Whoa, whoa, wait a minute, there's Gail. And sometimes I write some pretty long posts and she reads them.
This is so hilarious. So back in 2020, I did Shay Rowbottom's influencer kind of LinkedIn video boot camp. And I was in a room with some really powerful people that got big on LinkedIn. And at the end, and it was a very good boot camp, and it cost me 5 grand, and it's worth it. But I never succeeded as a video influencer on LinkedIn, but it didn't matter because I got an understanding, and I got in the ecosystem in those private rooms, and I met a lot of people who did succeed on LinkedIn. And then I started a LinkedIn pod, post sharing pod in the fall of 2020, and I had 235 people sign up. My metrics were off the charts. I put out a post, 40, 50, 60 comments. It was all gamed in my pod. And there were people in the pod who got huge on LinkedIn. One guy, Nick Capozzi, who got like a top video sales voice and got a job out of it, and it started in my pod for him. But he was so good on camera, and I was not, that it worked for him. Um, so the point of it is, my social media metrics now are terrible. They were great back then, 4 years ago. I don't care at all, because I know it's been 4 years I've been writing. My writing's getting better because I like it. And it's connected into the marketplace because I'm learning how to be more understandable in a way that's useful to people. That's the game of experience sharing.
And the game. So, I have this byline, if you will, learn how to play the game of life, right? Because it's all a game. And when I learned to play, right, and have fun, that's when I learned who I am and what I bring. And you're right, Larry, it's finding the voice that people can resonate with, not necessarily what's going on in my head, but what can connect to the people who I want to be connecting with. I don't want to connect with all of you, so some of you aren't going to like me, and that's awesome. Go find someone that you do like and work with them, because I want people who will benefit, and you can only benefit if we resonate.
Yeah. And I I think that for me, it's about having fun with the things that feel connecting. So the idea, so much of what I've learned from you guys, you and Brian and Sharon and Florian, and my own experience, is about serving the grail. So the idea, instead of chasing the grail, the search for the Holy Grail. Monty Python's movie is brilliant because they end up in a parking lot at the end. We're like, well, this is a waste of time. Let's go home now. So I'm like, but serving the Grail, meaning what's my role here? How can I be of service? Doesn't feel like I'm giving up anything anymore. It did before. It felt like it was like, well, I'm not going to get what I want. Now I feel like I'm going to get what I want. I don't see any disconnect or space anymore between what's my role. And sometimes I don't want to do those things, but I actually do. And then when I do them, I feel fine.
Yeah, and it's the synchronicity that happens, right? And that I've been experiencing that on this road trip 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day. It's ridiculous. It's lovely, right? I put out, for example, Wednesday, I do a Facebook Live on Wednesday. Something conflicted, so I sent her a text on Facebook. I didn't hear anything, so I sent her a text on the phone. Can't make it. She sends me a text. I'm in Facebook jail.
Oh, of course. Facebook, LinkedIn, they all have jails. YouTube just
Right,
canceled me completely. They don't have a jail. They
right.
just cancel you.
So it's going to be canceled anyway.
Uh-huh.
So what I want happens, and both parties, it's a win-win, right? It's not, oh, now what am I going to do? Gail's not going to be there, right? Well, maybe I'll can't. None of that decision. It's like, oh, that's cool, Gail, because I'm in jail anyway. So, having that in your life and having that in your business, the right people show up at the right time for the right purpose.
I put a year into a YouTube channel called Everything We Were Taught Is Wrong when I was in my raging Agent Smith phase of development. And I'm like, no, you people don't understand. Everything you were taught is wrong.
Which is
And
true, but
it doesn't matter. And yeah, and YouTube canceled me. Google canceled me. So they gave me a scarlet letter. And everyone was like, what did you do wrong? And I'm like, you don't understand how this works. No, it's them, not me. It's Google. It's not me. This has been going on since Google started. They've been doing this to people. And it turned out to be such a good thing because, I mean, I looked at it, I was like 235 videos gone. I'm getting a couple thousand views a short. I'm getting, 20 to 300, 400 views a video. I got, I don't know, 100 something people is subscribing. It was a train wreck, but it was practice to be able to do YouTube and be on camera and those things. And when YouTube canceled it, blackballed me for life, basically without any explanation. The appeals have been completely unanswered for almost a year because the bot is asleep in the Philippines. I don't know what's going on. Turned out to be great. It turned out to be great. And I just let it go. It was hard, though. It was hard. There was a moment there where I was like, how am I ever going to make this business work? I put so much time into this thing and now it's done.
and the point is, guys, we rely on something so heavily outside ourselves that when something like this happens, what it did, Larry, was helped you discover more resilience,
Yes.
right? More resilience. And that's not a bad thing. So there's a gift in everything, and a purpose. You did a redirect, and it didn't even look like you dropped a beat.
No, and inside it was one of the most painful experiences of my life. And I was doing all the Napoleon Hill stuff and I was writing down numbers on pieces of paper and writing checks to myself because I felt like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of money while I'm doing all of this. And I was really panicking. And I think the whole experience was a lesson in release the fear of not having enough money as opposed to getting money. If I'd gotten money, I never would have released the fear of not having money.
Yeah, it really, the fear, and for me it's like, do I have to learn this lesson again? What did I miss? Because they come up again and again and
They
again, so
do,
those
don't
were
they?
repeating patterns, right?
Mhm.
And that, did you hear the word patterns? So I've learned to say, okay, where's the pattern?
Mm.
Where's the pattern that I've not addressed, right? And so, yes, I do work with blocks and restrictions, but I don't look for them. This pattern came up again. Oh, let's take a look at the repeating pattern and put it where it belongs, right, Larry? At one point
Yeah.
you said to me, I know I had all this pain in the past, but Gail, it's in the past now.
So Gail and I work together, obviously, and Gail's done my stuff, and I've done her stuff, and then that's why she's a founding um, member for the entrepreneur experience community, because these things work together at the end
Yeah.
of the day. And
Yeah.
I can't do what she does, and she can't do what I do. And some people lean one way or another in terms of what they need, and then it changes, and they need something different.
Right.
Building this all together in one system, to me, was a permanent solution to the problem of constant ups and downs.
So, Larry, this has been great. This is your private time with
Yep.
everybody. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Gail.
This was so much fun. Guys, join us, right? We're going to have an interesting conversation about coaching. Bye bye.
Thanks, Gail. All right. So I just want to talk a little bit about kind of the Entrex Forum and Red Pill Labs. So the first Red Pill Labs kicks off today. And if you want to be involved in this, you go to redpillpathway.com/events. Redpillpathway.com/events, and you're going to see Red Pill Labs, and it says claim your guest pass. It's got the times for everything. Don't ask me. Don't reach out and ask me, because it's right there, because I won't respond, because I'm not paying attention to the inbox right now. And you can claim a guest pass and come in and share your experience. So what we're going to talk about today at Red Pill Labs is what's next for marketing. Where is it going? And it's going where everyone says it's going. In other words, we're going to share from experience. There's no answer to this. Here's what I'm seeing or noticing or doing or whatever, and someone else's. And then the week after that, we're going to do the first Entrex Forum, and that's about the coaching trap and what doesn't work today for coaches. And one of Gail's friends is going to kick it off. So it's a roundtable discussion. So think TED and TEDx. TED for Red Pill Labs, what's next? Big thinking, big ideas. TEDx, which is more of a marketing thing now and more localized for coaches trying to, sell their programs or sell their books. It's kind of where TEDx went. Still good ideas, but that is more about what's going on now in a particular topic area. So next week, Sabrina Victoria is going to kick off, a friend of Gail's, but it's not about Sabrina's perspective. She's just kicking it off because she knows a lot about it. She's an expert in innovation in the coaching industry and has done something that's working. And that's why she's going to kick it off. But if you're a coach, if you want to be a coach, if you're not a coach, but you paid a coach once, or you're thinking about paying a coach, come and talk about your experience of this. Nobody's going to try to sell you anything without permission. Now, there'll be permission where it's like somebody's going to say, hey, this is the thing I've got. If you're interested, come into this room on the campus, because we have the Metaverse campus, which will be open. And you can hear about it or not. So everyone will know, okay, that's the sales pitch time. But you're not going to be attacked, because you just show up. So there's none of that. There's no architecture of a sales process inside this, because I don't want that. That's why. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just, I'm not going to do that because it's too hard. I don't have a whole team that can figure this out. I've tried to do it myself and I don't like doing it. Plus, I also don't like it. And I don't think it's what's coming and what's next anyways, because I think everyone's kind of sick of it, because it's hard to figure out what's going on. Who's for real, who's marketing, who's selling, doesn't matter. The point is that this coaching industry is really important right now because millions and millions of people are looking for ways to make a living. And they're opting out of corporate, they're dumped out of corporate, aged out of corporate. They never could get in the first place. People like me who could never even get the careers going in the first place because you did your own thing and you didn't conform. And that's me. I know a lot of entrepreneurs like this, where you do that long enough, you're unemployable. I'm unemployable, but thank God I am. But I got to figure out how to make a living. And I want to do it on my own terms. So for me, I spent my whole life in the service industry with clients. And then I saw, wow, I can scale myself with content scalable platforms, group coaching programs, all these kinds of things. And then that didn't work for me in the forms I was taught it. So I had to reinvent that model for myself so I could do it in a way that worked for me. Now, that's just my experience of it. And that's what we'll be talking about. So I don't have an answer for the room. What I have is my experience of what I see. And you do too. And that's the whole point of this. So you're welcome to come to these things. So claim your guest pass. If you want to know what I'm selling, yeah, I make a living. I'm selling stuff too. That's redpillpathway.com/programs. You don't have to buy anything. You can come to the events if you want to learn more about what I'm doing, because you want to learn more about something related to yourself. Go to redpillpathway.com/content. And it's not about me. It's about something I know a lot about, because I don't write about anything I don't understand, because I know a lot about it, because it's coming from my experience or my observations. So hopefully this was helpful and not overwhelming and confusing, which I'm sure it is for some people, but feel free to show up. And as Kurt Cobain said, come as you are.